Hey everyone, and welcome to the vlog. I had the most incredible 5 days in Mexico City, and I'm so excited to share with you all everything I ate, saw, and did in Mexico's lively capital. For the first 4 days, I was traveling with my friend Melissa, and then I spent another day and a half solo. Tag along with us to all of the best cafes, restaurants, and museums, and also learn about our little robbery experience. And that's how I knew they had been in my bag. Despite that though, I really had the best time in CDMX, so let's get into it. I had a very early morning wake-up call to get to the airport for my 8:30 a.m. flight, but I made it there nice and early. The flight was about 5 hours long and was a breeze compared to some of the longer flights I've been on this year. I took the time to get through a good chunk of fourth wing, which had me hooked. And soon enough, I was in Mexico. Hey everyone, I made it to Mexico City, and I'm still in the airport right now because Melissa's flight comes in about an hour after mine does, so I'm just waiting for her. I think it should be about like a half an hour left until she gets here, but in the meantime, I kind of just parked myself at a table in the airport and got my makeup done, and then when she comes, we will just grab a taxi into the city and drop our stuff off at our Airbnb. Melissa actually ended up landing in a different terminal than me, so my Uber driver and I picked her up. Melissa's here! And then we headed to our Airbnb. The Airbnb we rented was an entire apartment building that has 3 apartments in it. This is the top floor apartment, which is pretty much the whole reason we chose this place. It has the most beautiful floor-to-ceiling windows and a spiral staircase leading up to the lofted bedroom. The hosts decorated the apartment so beautifully with greenery, and there's also a balcony with some seating outside. This is the second floor apartment, which I ended up staying in. It's also very pretty, though it doesn't have the high ceilings like the top floor does. There's still lots of space, and I especially liked the kitchen area here. Finally, here's the first floor apartment, which neither of us stayed in. It was a little less spacious, but the kitchen was absolutely gorgeous. So we are so obsessed with this Airbnb. It is absolutely gorgeous, and we are also extremely hungry because we both didn't eat too much today, so we want to go to a taco place that's like a 15-minute walk away. Though our dinner reservation is at 5:45 and it's around like 3:30 right now, so we won't have too much time to eat anyway. It's basically going to be a pre-dinner for our dinner. And also it just started thundering and pouring, so we were originally thinking about walking, but now I think we're gonna take an Uber. And Uber we did. It turns out that the original location we wanted to go to was closed down, so our Uber driver was so kind and drove us to the next closest location that was open. This is Taqueria Orinoco, a popular taqueria that has multiple locations across Mexico City. I loved their red and white color scheme and branding with the cow in a taco. I got 2 of the trompo tacos, which consisted of pork, onion, cilantro, corn chips, and pineapple. And oh my god, they were so good. It was honestly hard to imagine anything topping how delicious these tacos were for the rest of the trip. We definitely could have eaten more, but we had to catch our 4:45 dinner reservation, so we called an Uber and promised to be back. Dinner was at Taverna, a Mediterranean restaurant housed in a historical, recently restored hacienda from 1905. And this restaurant is absolutely gorgeous. We were having a pretty early dinner, so the restaurant was mostly empty, and the candles were all lit because the rain had hidden the sunlight away. The menu consists of shared dishes, so we ordered the hummus, fish tostada, and lamb islas. Everything was good, though Melissa and I both learned we don't really like lamb as much as we thought. Afterwards, we were in the mood for dessert and decided to walk to a popular churro spot 10 minutes away. This is Churreria El Moro, and they serve a variety of desserts including ice cream, hot chocolate, milkshakes, and of course, churros. We got 4 churros with 1 dark chocolate dipping sauce and 1 condensed milk dipping sauce. Condensed milk and chocolate. Yum! The condensed milk one was much better than the chocolate one in my opinion, and maybe these weren't my favorite churros I've ever had, but it was definitely the dessert we needed that night. It was also quite lively on the corner, with lots of musicians stopping to play music for everyone and a lot of fun things to see. I bought some chocolate to bring back home, and that's the end of day 1.
Good morning, everyone. It is around 6:15 a.m. right now, and I actually slept pretty well last night. I mean, considering there isn't really any jet lag from New York to Mexico, I think that's mainly why, but I did wake up once around like 4 a.m. because that's usually my 6 a.m. wake up time in New York, but I did go back to sleep again, so I had another like hour and a half of sleep after that, which is good. So overall, I'm feeling pretty good this morning. I'm just getting ready now, but we are up early today because we are going to Lardo when they open. And Lardo is like a very well-known brunch restaurant, so we wanted to get it empty and try to be like one of the first people there. But so far, I've really been loving CDMX. I feel like it's just so vibrant here, and I feel like all the food has been really good so far, and everybody has been really nice, like especially the taxi drivers. Oh my God, they're so kind. And I mean, everything is also really cheap, which I can't complain about. I'm just gonna finish getting ready and then I will show you which dress I chose for today because I pretty much only brought dresses, and I actually am pretty surprised because it is a little bit chillier here than I thought it would be. Like chillier, especially in the evenings, because I think it just really cools down when the sun goes down. I'm not complaining. It's actually really nice compared to New York, but I didn't quite expect it. So hopefully the dresses will be fine enough. So this is what I'm wearing today. And I'm not completely sure if these shoes really go with this dress or if I should wear my other ones. But yeah, I chose this dress today, and now I'm gonna go upstairs to meet up with Melissa, and then we're gonna head out.
We took a quick Uber over to Lardo, which is well known for its pastries and brunch. It turns out we actually got there half an hour after they opened because the Google opening times were incorrect, but we still got a good seat. They have so many options on their menu and lots of different baked goods to choose from as well. It was so hard to decide what to get, so we ordered a few different pastries to try. And I must say, the pastries were definitely the highlight of the meal. I'd probably recommend getting those over the kitchen food here. We were so full after that huge breakfast and decided to digest a little and visit this cute bookstore nearby. It even has its own cafe. It didn't take long for me to fall in love with the merchandise.
Like, oh my God, this is so cute.
Sadly, you could only buy this mug in the whole set, or else I would have gotten one. Next, we made our way to Cafe Milo for our second coffee of the day. Everything was so aesthetic, and we had the kindest waiter ever. He made sure we had everything we needed, and even got a little stool to put Melissa's bag on when he saw that it was on the ground.
Aww. The waiter just offered to take our photo, and it turned out really cute.
We could not possibly eat any more after that, so we chose to visit the Museo Casa Guillermo Tovar de Teresa, which is located in the old home of Guillermo Tovar de Teresa, a Mexican historian and art collector. This museum houses some of his collection, as well as preserves some of the antiquities of his home. Next, it was time to do some shopping. But first, how cute is their little walking signal? We stopped by Carla Fernandez, a fashion house that sources materials from communities of artisans who specialize in handmade textiles and indigenous techniques. All of their pieces were so unique and high quality. After that, we went to Happening, a cute store that sells home goods, clothes, ceramics, and more. This is definitely the kind of store that makes me wish I had a larger kitchen to store more mugs in. Then, on the way to another shop, we stumbled upon this store that sells these adorable ceramics and had to go in. The shopkeeper told us all the pieces are made in Oaxaca, and I loved how each and every one is unique.
Yeah.
So we just totally randomly stumbled upon that really cute ceramics shop, and Melissa and I both bought little planters there, and they each had names. So mine was named Paisito, and then Melissa's was named Uberio. And I just thought it was so cute. And the cashier guy was so nice, so loved that spot. Long time no bookstore. Our next stop was Casa Vasquez, which was somehow even more aesthetic than the first bookstore we visited. This shop specializes more in magazines, stationery, and independent works, and I couldn't leave without getting something. Saw some booty on the way to our lunch reservation at the famous Ristorante Rosetta. This Italian restaurant is known for its incredible pasta dishes, but probably even better known for how darn beautiful it is.
They started us off with some house-made focaccia, and for my entree, I ordered the pappardelle with chicken liver and sage. And I was pleasantly surprised that this pasta exceeded my expectations. We wanted to try the dessert and ordered this interesting one, which was titled Fresh Herbs with Rosemary Ice Cream and Olive Oil. And it was literally fresh herbs with rosemary ice cream and olive oil. I enjoyed it, but Melissa wasn't really a fan.
I like it actually, it's good.
Hey everyone, so we stopped back at the Airbnb for a couple hours and I did just change my outfit because we are about to go out again to a museum. Though it just started pouring and thundering kind of at the same exact time as yesterday actually, which is pretty coincidental, but hopefully it'll be kind of similar to yesterday also where it's not going to be raining for too long. But yeah, we are about to head out and the museum is inside, so hopefully we can stay dry. We made our way through the rain to the Museo Nacional de Antropología and were surprised to find it was free entry that day for some reason. This museum contains the world's largest collection of ancient Mexican art and has exhibits about Mexico's present-day indigenous groups. I found it so fascinating that we were able to see such intricate and ancient handiwork so well preserved and up close. I especially loved these little small guys because they were so cute. This last room contains the Aztec exhibit, which contains the Sunstone, also known as the Aztec calendar. When leaving the museum, it was hard to call an Uber where we were, so we walked into the nearby park, which was not the best idea since the park is quite large and there weren't any other streets that were easily accessible once we entered it. We ended up having a long walk into La Condesa, but at least it helped us build up our hunger for a little bit of dinner. Which led us to going to Taqueria Orinoco once again because we just had to have these tacos at least one more time on our trip. That night after we went to bed, I heard music which sounded like it was pretty much right outside of our apartment, and sure enough, I found the culprit. I went out on the balcony for a little to enjoy the music before he left for the night. Good morning. I've gotten all ready. We are about to head out to go to breakfast. I have this beautiful dress by Farm Rio on. I thought it would be perfect for Mexico City. And yeah, I'm gonna go meet up with Melissa again. We took our Uber to Mendel, a New York-style delicatessen that pays homage to the Jewish deli. I fell in love with this interior and all its natural lighting and beautiful greenery. They have a huge menu full of different options, including breakfast, bagels, and classic deli dishes.
Which one should we get? One of the ones with the berries? Sure. Wait, this one?
Yes. I ordered the full breakfast, and Melissa got a bagel with scallion cream cheese. The coffee was really good.
Good coffee.
But the food was even better.
Oh, this is so good.
Afterwards, there was a cafe we wanted to visit nearby, so we walked over. Huel is a coffee shop and record store that carefully selects and plays all of their music on vinyl. If you're interested in a specific record they have for sale, you can actually ask them to play it for you to personalize your experience there. Everything came out on the cutest dishes, and Melissa got this matcha horchata drink, which was so good. We ended up striking up a conversation with a guy named Davis, who was sitting at the table across from us, and it was just a really nice time. And then we got robbed. And afterwards, we went to debrief at a cafe, of course. Okay, editing Maddie here because your homegirl forgot to turn on the mic during the entire explanation of the robbery. so I'm going to retell it now. But basically, Melissa and I were walking through La Condesa in a nice area on a nice street when all of a sudden I felt this liquid in between my legs. And I took a look and it was like this brown liquid that looked like poop. And Melissa looked at my back and it was apparently all over the back of my dress and on the back of my hair. And I looked at Melissa as well and it was also on her back. So these people who were walking ahead of us turned around when they heard me and Melissa exclaim, or maybe they just saw us looking really confused, and they started walking over to us and took out napkins from their bag, and then they started to help us clean off the poop. And what was going through my head was, oh my God, everybody in Mexico City has been so nice so far, and I don't have any napkins on me, so thank God they have napkins. This is so nice of them. So there was a female cleaning Melissa, and then there was a male and a female cleaning me, and they kind of had separated us a little bit. And while they were cleaning us, what they would do is they would hold up the napkins to their nose and be like, oh, it smells so bad. And the guy even kind of like flapped his arms like a bird and indicated like, oh, I think this is a bird, or like a bird did this, because they didn't speak any English. And throughout it all, I was kind of thinking, this doesn't really smell like poop. But at the same time, I'm just glad that they're helping me. So finally, Melissa and I are kind of like, it's okay, we'll handle it from here, and the people leave. And Melissa and I just stand there being like, what just happened? And we kind of come to the conclusion that this isn't bird poop, this is definitely sauce. Like, we're looking at it on our dresses, it doesn't really look like poop anymore, it looks like sauce, and it smells like sauce. And we're thinking, did somebody just throw sauce on us? Like, do people maybe hate tourists here and just like somebody threw sauce on us? And I was thinking, maybe it was them who threw sauce on us. Like, what if it was them who threw sauce on us? I looked in my bag and I saw one of the napkins that they were using to clean me off, and that's how I knew they had been in my bag. So I looked in my bag to see if anything had been taken, and I saw that my card holder was gone, which had my credit card, debit card, and driver's license in it. And I checked my phone, and the robbers had already tried to spend $2,800 on both my credit and my debit card, which were luckily declined for fraudulent activity. So in all, it really could have been so much worse than it actually was. I mean, it is really sad that we had to get sauced in order to be robbed, but at the same time, we weren't hurt, and they only took things from me that were easily replaceable. So yeah, that was our robbery story, and I'll get back to the regular clips. We were pretty defeated after the robbery, but this cute shop dog named Sake came to keep us company and cheer us up. Came over to comfort us. Aww. We shared some Nutella toast and relented on our experience.
I hope it comes out. I hope it comes out.
It seems like it's the sauce that will come out.
That's so nice of them.
Where'd they get the sauce though? Should have tasted it to be sure.
And then they threw A1 steak sauce on us.
Life had to go on after the robbery, so Melissa and I continued on with our itinerary for the day. First stop was this cute clothing store called Proyecto Rufina. It ended up being the perfect place for Melissa to buy a new dress to wear, since her old one got sauced. Afterwards, we made a quick stop to Park Mexico, which we found out is pretty empty during the weekdays. And then we were off to the Frida Kahlo Museum, which we didn't realize would be so far from La Condesa. We ended up being a half an hour late to our entry time, but they still let us in. The Casa Azul is where Frida Kahlo spent much of her life and created many of her works. This museum holds many of Frida's personal belongings and is the perfect place to learn about her life and work.
Hey everyone, so we are back at the Airbnb and we decided to come back to rest before our dinner reservation, which is in 3 hours or so, which is nice because honestly that robbery took a lot out of both of us and we just were really fatigued and a little bit unmotivated after it, so it is nice to come back here and just reset. But honestly, if I look back at the robbery, it honestly could have been so much worse. Like, they could have taken a lot worse things from me, like maybe my camera or my phone, which were both in my bag, and I think they really could have just snatched either of those, and those both have memories that I really would not be able to get back. So I am honestly just so glad that they didn't take those. So I think this was a very big learning lesson, and I think I know now to be a little bit more vigilant when I'm out and walking in the streets, having my bag open, being more aware of like strangers coming to me and getting really close to me. And I do think this can happen anywhere traveling, but I just happened to be in a situation that was just unfavorable this time. So yeah, it could have been so much worse though. Anyway, now because we just have a few hours to chill, I'll just probably edit some things, maybe read my book, just hang out and reset, and we will head out again in a few hours.
For dinner, we went to Roma, a contemporary Mexican restaurant that serves fare from both land and sea. We sat on their terrace overlooking the street. We ordered the herbed falafel, romaine heart salad, agnolotti, and strozzo preti alla genovese, and I really liked all of the dishes, though maybe especially the romaine heart salad. For dessert, we got a condensed goat milk tart that was also amazing before realizing we were running late to our next reservation. We scarfed it down and then immediately called an Uber. Handshake Speakeasy is currently ranked number 3 on the list of the world's 50 best bars, and we had to try it. When you enter, you're greeted with a handshake, get it, and then led into the speakeasy. The small space has such an intimate vibe, and I loved how interactive the staff were. We each got one drink. Melissa got this adorable mini espresso martini, and I got the yuzu matcha. And even though I only tried one drink, I can definitely see why this bar is number 3.
Hey everyone, it is Friday morning and today Melissa's leaving and I'm going to be starting my solo portion of the trip. I have about 2 more days here alone and we're going to be checking out of the Airbnb today, and I'm going to check into a hotel that I booked that's not too far from here a little later. But Melissa's flight leaves around like 2-something p.m. so we're going to have the morning together. I think all we're going to do is go to a cafe that's relatively close by, and then we have to check out around 11. So that's pretty much our morning plan. I've got my bags all packed so that we can go to the cafe and then come back and just pick everything up and immediately check out. And yeah, I think that's gonna be our morning. So I'm gonna go meet up with Melissa upstairs again. Also, another thing that's happening this morning is the sinks are not working, or all the water is not working, like even the toilets. And Melissa, I think, asked the Airbnb host, and I think they said that the government actually turns off the water sometimes. So I'm just really hoping it comes back before we have to check out, because yeah, we can't even flush the toilet. But I do have these water bottles that I left here to wash my hands.
Oh yeah, can't forget the fit check.
The cafe was a short walking distance away, and we got there right when they opened. I think this was the prettiest cafe that we visited on our trip, and we were so excited that they have soft-boiled eggs on the menu. The cafe owner told us that they have live music in the evenings sometimes, so one day I'll have to come back for dinner. Then we went back to the Airbnb to grab our things and check out. Melissa then headed to the airport, and I went to my new hotel to drop off my luggage. My first stop on my solo journey was Raku Cafe. We had passed by this cafe a couple days prior, and I thought it was cute and bookmarked it. This Japanese-style cafe has many Asian-inspired pastries, and I liked the simplicity of its design. It was a great spot for me to sit for a little while. I went to another cafe nearby when something kind of strange happened.
So that was the strangest thing. I basically wanted to go to Momiji to go to their cafe, and they have a little like beauty shop in there. So I was there looking for the beauty shop because I only saw the cafe when one of the workers started beckoning me to come outside, and I noticed that pretty much everybody was evacuating from the store. And when I got onto the street, it looks like everybody on the entire block and like the area was actually evacuated. There were just so many people in the street. Everybody is just standing outside. Very weird. So I came back to the area that I was just in before, that I'm a little bit more familiar with now, and it looks like there's no evacuation here, so I have no idea what that was.
My walking led me to a Mamba, a cute cafe and juice bar. I ordered the matcha mango smoothie and read my book for a little while. And then I took an Uber to a spot I've had on my bucket list for quite a while. This is Biblioteca Vasconcelos, a public library in the Buena Vista neighborhood of Mexico City, and it's probably one of the most incredible libraries I've ever seen. Designed by architects Alberto Calach and Juan Palomar, it's known for its modern, striking architecture and extensive book collection. Its production faced significant challenges, including persistent maintenance and operational problems, but it nevertheless remains an important cultural landmark and a symbol of Mexico's commitment to public education and architecture. I was pretty tired from the day and decided to finally check into my new hotel.
Okay, so just made it into the Airbnb, and it is very cute. We've got the kitchen over here by the front door, then this living room area with a nice TV. And in the back, we've got the bed. I don't know what this, oh, I think you can turn the TV around. That's actually really cool. And then I'm gonna slide. I think that's the bathroom. I'll check that out in a sec. But over here, we've got this beautiful outdoor area. Wow, pretty. And the bathroom. There you go, nice shower. And they have a drinkable water fountain over here. That's awesome.
Hey everyone, so I've checked into my new hotel and I really love it so far. It is really the perfect size for me and it's super clean. And I also love how there's this like outdoor area over here, even though it has been raining every afternoon, which is actually extremely crazy that it's every day between like 3 to 5 p.m. Or maybe like a little after 5 p.m. that it rains every single day, but never in the morning, which I'm glad about because I'd rather it rain in the afternoon. But yeah, hopefully I'll be able to get a little bit of use out of this outdoor area. And I will say one thing I don't love about this place so far is you can definitely hear the neighbors like very clearly. So you can hear a lot of like noises that are outside in the hallway or the room over. And I can even like hear their TV right now. So hopefully it won't be too much of a problem at night. But yeah, you can definitely hear that stuff. Anyways, it is around 5:15 p.m. right now. And I am pretty hungry because all I did was really go to cafes today. So I could definitely use something to eat. And I think what I'll do is I'll just check out one of the bookmark places that I have and hope that it's really good for a solo dinner.
Time to head out! I chose to eat at this restaurant called Bottega because I had passed by it several times before and it really caught my attention. I had also checked their Instagram and their dinner food looked really good. I sat at the counter and ordered this pesto pasta, which may have to go on my list of favorite dishes of all time. Like I seriously had to eat every last pine nut on this dish. On my way home, I bought some snacks at 7-Eleven and then spent the rest of the night enjoying the TV from bed. Welcome to my final full day in Mexico City. I woke up around 6:30 a.m. and got ready for the day.
I'm gonna do a little outdoor fit check.
Almost every CDMX guide I saw included Panaderia Rosetta, the bakery of the restaurant Rosetta. Since it opens really early, I thought I'd go early to avoid long lines since I know this place is quite popular and it was a weekend day. I got their famous roll de guayaba to go. My hotel happened to be a few doors down from this adorable coffee shop called Compe Coffee, and I couldn't have my pastry alone, so I got an Americano to go as well.
Okay, so I am back at my hotel with my guava roll from Panderia Rosetta and my Americano from Compe Coffee. And I'm gonna do a little taste test right now because I think Panderia Rosetta is really well known for these guava rolls. So I just really wanted to try it. I'm honestly not even that big of a fan of guava, but I'm hoping this will change my mind. Anyway, look at her, she's beautiful. Okay, gonna dig in. Okay, I pretty much only got like croissant on that, so I'm gonna have to get to the middle.
Okay. Yeah, we made it a little bit to the center, and I'm getting some of that flavor. It's actually really good. And now for the coffee. Very good coffee. And it's not too hot too. He actually poured in some like room temperature water that definitely cooled it down. So I always don't like it when my coffee is too hot when I'm first drinking it. And this is perfect. So my original first stop of the day was going to be this cafe called Tuca Cafe, but they actually don't open until 9 a.m. on the weekends. So I'm gonna try to get there around 9. It's actually super close to where I'm staying right now. And yeah, I'll get some more coffee.
I arrived at Trucha Cafe literally right when they opened and got the seat I wanted right in front of their shop sign. And I totally forgot to even take a video of my food before I ate it because something pretty funny happened.
Okay, I'm talking pretty close to the camera because I forgot my microphone and I want my voice to be heard over all the music here. But I just ran into this guy named Davis who we were actually talking to at Cafe Huel a couple of days ago. And I think that was so funny. He was just sitting next to me and he tapped me on the shoulder and he just asked me if I took his advice of where to go and stuff. And so we ended up chatting for the past 45 minutes and he just left, but he also ordered this chia pudding just so he could sit here and he gave it to me. He offered to help me take photos too, but I was good with my tripod. And yeah, I'm honestly just really glad I met him. He was such a nice guy and it was really great to talk to him, chat with him. I told him about how Melissa and I got robbed right after we saw him the other day. And it was just kind of funny. We were just kind of chatting about it. He was very surprised that happened. And I told him I hope he's not a bad omen and I don't get robbed after I see him today too. Anyway, I just wanted to document that happened because it was very cool and I'm really glad that we met him.
There was a bookstore nearby that I wanted to visit named Cafebreria El Pendulo. It's both a bookstore and cafe and has several floors you could dine on. I loved how they have books scaling this entire wall floor to ceiling. While wandering, I saw this beautiful area full of plants between buildings and found this cafe called The Coffee. I know they have branches in other countries and wanted to try them here. The store itself was super cute, but the matcha I got was meh. Next, I found a different branch of Proyecto Rufina. This one is more of an open concept and had the same merchandise as the other location, but I had to browse anyways. Mexico City has multiple bazaars that are only open on the weekends, and I wanted to see what they were all about. This one was just around the block from my hotel. I love browsing through all the cool merchandise from independent sellers. I kept walking on and really got to admire how peaceful and beautiful this area of the city is. The plants just really thrive here and I love to see it. Since it was the weekend, I decided to visit Park Mexico one more time to see if the vibes were any different. And they absolutely were. On the weekends, the park comes alive with lots of salsa and bachata dancing. There were also lots of vendors selling dog merchandise in the middle of the park, and of course, there were lots of dogs. I'm really glad that I came back to see all of it. I went to Chiquitito Cafe for a light lunch and an afternoon cup of coffee. It was the perfect spot to sit at the window seat and people watch for a little while. I also finally got around to finishing Fourth Wing, which was an incredible read.
Hey everyone, so I just hung out at the hotel for a couple of hours and it was really nice because I walked a lot today, so it was great to just kind of veg for a little bit. But now I'm about to head out to dinner with my friend Wendy and her husband Bill. They just happen to be in town right now and I'm really glad we actually overlap on when we're in CDMX together. And then it also just so happens that one of my college roommates is also in town for the month, so I'm gonna meet up with her for drinks after dinner. So it'll be a little bit of a packed night, but I am very excited to see all my friends. I think the only thing I'm concerned about is that it is going to rain tonight and I don't have an umbrella, so hopefully I don't get drenched, but it looks like the rain is starting now and I'm gonna go walk over to the restaurant and hope and pray that it doesn't start pouring.
It was already raining pretty heavily by the time I started walking. Luckily, it was only 7 minutes away.
It's raining. I'm almost there.
I made it right on time. Dinner was at Sartoria, an Italian restaurant. We ordered the roasted beet salad to start, and for my entree, I got the hand-cut tagliolini with butter and black truffle.
That's ragu. This is the agnolotti with short rib.
Oh, nice.
That's ragu with beef cheese.
And the pasta exceeded my expectations. It was absolutely delicious. For dessert, we shared the tiramisu, and it was perfect. Like, if you come here, you have to get the tiramisu, trust me. Wendy and Bill decided to join me and my college roommate Lucia for drinks, so we walked over to the bar I had chosen, which was close by. This spot is a cafe by day and a record bar by night. Even though it's small, it's very lively with incredible music and even better vibes. I had the best night catching up with everyone, and it was really the perfect end to my trip to Mexico City. In the morning, I got airport ready, cleaned up the space, and finished packing my luggage. I said goodbye to my hotel and took an Uber to the airport. It's crazy how much happened in just 5 full days, and I had the most incredible time, minus the robbery, which honestly is mostly just a funny story now. But thanks as always for joining me on my travels, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!